interested in where this program is going over the next 2, 3, 5 years.
Louisville at home today wearing black. North Carolina wearing the Carolina blue, as it were. And we're underway with Anna DeBeer serving for the Cardinals. And right off the bat, UNC able to score with the player they were missing when they faced Louisville the first time. Avery Schaffmaster able to just keep that ball in play to score the opening points of today's match. Sophie Hampton back to serve now. True freshman from Maryland who's coming off of one of her best career games with 13 kills in that 5-set victory over Wake Forest on Friday. And that one off the hands of Aiko Jones to make it back-to-back points early on here for the Heels.
And that ball was a deflection off of PK's block, but probably had enough hang time that she should have went and got the first touch on that ball defensively.
So North Carolina putting Louisville on their heels. That one gets caught up in the roof, in the rafters here at L&N Federal Credit Union Arena, but then comes down. Louisville goes to Luper, who we highlighted a moment ago, coming off of a really strong game. And then it's Schaffmaster once again, this time with the dunk to make it 3-0 North Carolina. Schaffmaster picking up where she left off on Friday, had 15 kills and 7 digs against Wake Forest, and make it another back-to-back throwdowns from Schaffmaster.
Schaffmaster versus the Louisville Cardinals right now.
Seems to be. She's got all 4 Carolina kills. Fans still haven't sat down awaiting this first Louisville point, which they see here from Charitie Luper. It's nice just to be able to serve a ball up to Luper when you need to kind of stem the tide like Louisville did just now. Elena Scott back behind the service line had a pair of aces against Duke. And she has one here.
And that's going to be the key tonight. We've seen when North Carolina's on offense, they're in a good position. They can score. However, serve receive is going to be the key tonight.
Schaffmaster the target again. And that's going to be a point to North Carolina on a violation against Louisville, a net violation.
They got Cressy in the net on that block.
So really good start from UNC here. We mentioned that they played well against Louisville in early October. Took a set off the Cardinals. That was the opening set of that match. Looking to duplicate that effort right now. Louisville goes to Kara Cressy. Carolina to Maria Higgins, one of her first swings of the afternoon. And that one too much to handle for Elena Scott off the hands of the 6'4" freshman middle Sydney Nolan from Northern Kentucky, Florence, Kentucky, playing in her home state today.
And I talked to the UNC coaching staff before the game, and they are so proud of the adjustment that she's made as a freshman, coming in, being willing to switch positions and play middle for what the team needs for this season, and she's been very successful.
Listed on the roster as an outside hitter. That early ball well handled by Scott. Schaffmaster. And that one ultimately falls out of play. Last touch by Charitie Luper. And Carolina starting to raise some eyebrows around L&N Federal Credit Union Arena with this opening foray.
Again, they're a very offensive team, and they've been able to find ways to keep themselves on offense, which is key here in set one.
But they might thwart their own momentum there with the service error. They were hitting 7 of 12. And are hitting 7 of 12, I should say, as Aiko Jones goes back. She was one of the honorees prior to this afternoon's start as a grad student, 5th-year senior. Charitie Luper, that's off hands, and it fell on the correct side of the net from a Louisville perspective. And the Cardinals starting to get back in it.
That ball was a little bit low from Glock to Luper, but she just overpowered that block and truly got a little bit lucky.
4 straight games with double-digit kills for Luper coming in. Bit of an overpass, great adjustment though from Nolan. Scott keeps it alive. Louisville goes to DeBeer out of the back row.
And that's a fantastic dig from Elena Scott. You see Schaffmaster really going thumb down and pushing this ball to the sharp cross. And Scott is right there reading the play and turning the defense into offense for the Anna DeBeer kill.
North Carolina started this game with a statement of intent, and Louisville has now responded, cutting that Carolina lead to 2 after it was 5 just moments ago. Make it a 1-point advantage for the Heels. Louisville on a 4-0 scoring run.
It's a little bit backwards because typically when you're serve receiving, you want to say you're on offense, right? But for this North Carolina team, they're playing better right now out of transition and turning defense into offense than they are turning serve receive into offense.
Look at Scott going to the floor. DeBeer took something off that one, and a terrific dig from Maddie May, the libero for North Carolina. And then ultimately DeBeer unable to track backward and get clean connection on that ball. So it's another North Carolina point.
And like we just said, if that ball's in play a couple times, Maddie May gets a great dig and they're able to find a quality swing. And that is due to the quality play of Mavry Schaffmaster on the outside. Put a ball up high right now and she's going to score.
Schaffmaster 7 for 10 with 7 of the 8 kills for the Heels. There's Kara Cressy to score for the Louisville Cardinals and cut it back to 1. Cressy coming off of a 9-kill performance where she hit .538. Also had 3 blocks in the sweep over Duke.
And that needs to be a key for the Cardinals tonight. The middles both performed really well the last time that they played UNC, and that is the weakness of the North Carolina defense.
There's Ellie Glock, but May is alert to it defensively for North Carolina. And it ultimately results in a point for Romani Thurman, the true freshman from Little Rock, Arkansas. Had a terrific stat line in the victory over Wake last time out. 7 kills, 5 digs, and 6 blocks.
And this is just good court vision from Thurman, seeing that hole right in the middle.
Well, there's a block for Louisville. You mentioned it, Steph. The block was such a big key for Louisville in the victory over Duke. And that's their 2nd of the afternoon.
And I think it needs to be a key for them down the stretch. It's something that the Louisville Cardinals program has always been known for, being a strong blocking team. And this season, it hasn't been their strong point.
Big hand from the crowd for CeCe Rush, who you see here, celebrating her senior day as well. Service specialist that comes in here, and North Carolina continues to carry the momentum. Nolan with the kill.
And I've made a couple comments about UNC serve receive, but the Cardinals seem to be serving Sophie Hampton, and she has passed fantastic for the Tar Heels.
That one had a lot of power on it from Anna DeBeer. Good defensive volleyball, though, from North Carolina. And so, too, from Louisville. They go to PK. Just tipped it delicately over the fingertips, and it fell kindly onto the floor for PK's first kill of the day.
Great volleyball IQ there from PK. There's been big digs on both sides, a lot of power swings. She sees that double block come inside from Hampton, and she knows exactly where to place that ball.
Out of the back row, Schaffmaster this time. And Schaffmaster already closing in on a double-digit kill night herself just in the early stages of this first set.
And I love that decision from Barrett. She had 3 hitters ready to go in the front row and still was able to find Schaffmaster, the hot hand, for a kill out of the back row.
Point to Louisville on the service error from Anita Babick.
I would like to see the Tar Heels reduce their service errors right now because they are playing so well in transition. They really do not need to serve so tough to stop this Cardinals offense right now. They're doing a great job with defense and blocking.
They've got 2 so far. That one's off the hands and out for a North Carolina point. Hampton once again, who has a tremendous leaping ability.
And Schaffmaster back in the front row now for the Tar Heels. Not that that stopped her offense. We saw her score from the back row as well.
Glock the set to Luper. Tried to go down the line with it. Schaffmaster into the hands of Aiko Jones. And Aiko not able to control it cleanly. And it's another kill for Mabry Schaffmaster. That's her 9th. Schaffmaster, we mentioned, missed the first meeting between these two, but she's making up for it plenty right now. There's PK again. A one-handed set from Glock.
Great job there from Glock and PK. Glock contact this ball high and just tees it up away from the net a little bit for PK, and she's able to play up over the top.
Luper. Schaffmaster, that ball wasn't where she wanted it. Louisville says it was not touched, and the officials agree. Point to Louisville.
Another fantastic dig from the Tar Heels, though, and Schaffmaster made the right play there. She just missed, I think, also a very volleyball IQ mature situation from Aiko there, and she kind of pulled her hands down when she saw that it was going to go off the block.
And the block comes through again for Louisville here to tie it at 13. Cressy and Luper.
That is the type of blocking that Louisville is known for, being over the net and that ball going straight down if you're going to try to power through the Louisville block.
So the early lead for North Carolina has now evaporated. Can Louisville take their first lead? They can from another block. Back-to-back blocks for the Cardinals. This one, credit to Kara Cressy.
This ball's left just a little bit inside, and Miggins gets to the ball, but only in time for that ball to be low and right in the hands of the block.
Make it 3 straight blocks. This one is solo for Kara Cressy. And Louisville has come from behind to take a lead in the first set as we blocks. Cressy and Luper the first one, and then the last 2, all Kara Cressy. And Louisville, having trailed by as many as 5 in the opening moments of this set, now have a 2-point lead. But for North Carolina, Steph, Mabry Schaffmaster off to a sensational start, 9 for 15. But the blocks that we just saw from Louisville came when North Carolina tried to work it to their right side offensively. Something that they were planning to key on today.
And I think it's hard. Are you playing the long-term game here, or are you playing the short-term game here? And I think you got to play both. You got to win this set, but you also need to have that supporting cast really step up, as they did on the match when she was out in October at Chapel Hill. We need to find someone else to join Schaffmaster on the offense.
They go to Schaffmaster out of the timeout. Not once, but twice. De Beer sets it to Luper. Schaffmaster again, and it's a 4th straight block for Louisville. This time on the right side with Aiko Jones.
We talked about Aiko Jones' discipline last time when Schaffmaster tried to go off the block. This one, she did a great job of staying strong even after she read tip, and Schaffmaster was not able to get it through the block.
And that'll end the run. 6-0 scoring run ended by that service error. And 4 of the 6 coming off of Louisville blocks. So now Maddie May, the sophomore from Winterville, North Carolina, will step back to serve. Had 3 aces on Friday. Luper, that was touched by North Carolina. And Louisville has extended their lead to 3. And Luper leading the way in kills for Louisville with 3 so far.
And quality swing there from Luper, quality decision making. We saw at the beginning of the season sometimes Luper just like to take every ball with power, and we've really seen her evolve as an outside hitter as this season's gone on.
They go to DeBeer out of the back row, tried to nail it to the right side, and just an attack error from DeBeer, a player that is hitting .248 on the season.
You saw her tell Ellie Glock that was a great set. Do it again. I think she just missed the line on that one.
Glock sets to Cressy this time. And a whistle and a violation against North Carolina.
Double contact on the set contact. She was moving backwards just a little bit and didn't get a clean touch on the set.
Mike Shaw with a little bit of a protest there. Or maybe just a clarification.
I think there's the double contacts are always subjective, and Barrett was making an athletic play, moving backwards. It's not something that every official calls.
Luper with a lot of dip on that serve. It results in a Louisville point for Kara Cressy. I think a lot of credit, though, there, Steph, has to go to the serve from Luper. Had North Carolina completely off balance, and Louisville quickly took advantage with Cressy. Timeout for North Carolina here.
So you talked a little bit about Luper's serve. It's something they've been working on since she got to Louisville. She has a good jump floater, but she also contacts the ball at such a high point. They've been working on more of a hybrid serve, where it's that jump floater and then add some topspin just with her wrist as she finishes. And she has done a great job when she can get on a run of executing that serve.
It's been an important weekend in the ACC. As we get a look at the standings across the conference, Louisville, Pitt, and Florida State tied atop the standings. And like we talked about in Friday's broadcast, Steph, Florida State might have the best opportunity of any of those 3 teams to kind of sneak in. I say sneak because they're unranked at this stage of the season, but sneak into an ACC title.
Definitely. Louisville and Pitt have to play each other, so one of them is out of that 3-way tie no matter what for first place. So a really interesting last few games, and that's how the ACC is set up. That's why they play the way they do. We play everybody once, and then they play some important games down the stretch to figure out the conference. I personally would love to see an ACC tournament. How would you like to see those top 4 and 5 teams, 6 teams battling it out as we get through the tournament? That would be a fun Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, yeah, give me those top 4, 5, 6 teams facing each other any time of year, and it's going to be
with some turkey and
That's right.
I'm in.
A little mashed potatoes, maybe, yeah. But for North Carolina, you saw them on the other side of the standings there with a record of 6-9. They've got a couple of opportunities late on in the season here to kind of play spoiler against some of the teams in the top end of the standings. Louisville today, Florida State coming up. And then the rivalry with Duke, a team that is right in that next tier in the ACC, maybe right on the bubble of a postseason berth. Terrific effort from Luper and Glock. I beg your pardon, Scott. And a big cheer from the crowd. And that one was off hands. It's going to result in a point for Carolina. Thurman with the kill. But you can hear the residual applause. This is a knowledgeable Louisville volleyball fan base. And they appreciate what they just saw defensively from their team despite the point going to the opponents. Schaffmaster with that vicious serve, and it's an ace. Throws it a mile into the air and then absolutely whips the ball.
And topspin serves have been a struggle for the Louisville Cardinals. They played Georgia Tech last weekend at Georgia Tech, and Bertolino went on multiple service runs with her topspin serve, and Mavry Schaffmaster's serve is maybe not quite as strong as Bertolino, but it moves more, which I think is tougher to serve receive.
True freshman Camden Schrand into the game. Handled that one initially, but then Glock and Cressy unable to connect at the net.
And you see Louisville working with a 4-man serve receive here. It's interesting. I think it's good. You don't have to move as much when the serve is coming that strong, but also sometimes as a passer you can feel a little claustrophobic when there's 4 people back there, and it changes the communication and the crossing patterns that you're used to.
Timeout this time by Louisville, who are neck and neck right now with North Carolina. Had a really good first set, I would say, between these two. Louisville clearly a heavy favorite, given that they're ranked 5th in the country, one of the top teams in all of the land, coming off of back-to-back appearances in the national semifinals each of the last 2 years. But North Carolina, we mentioned it, played really well the first meeting between these two teams, and now they have Schaffmaster back into the lineup, and she has been sensational. As you see some of the North Carolina highlights, number 9 is going to have a lot of them.
And Mavry Schaffmaster has been the story. However, we spoke a little bit during last timeout. Is this going to be a long-term play or a short-term play? Can she keep this up to win the entire match if they're able to take this first set? I really think the Tar Heels need to try to find some other offense, probably particularly off the right side, but then also Mavry Schaffmaster stepping it up with aces really can help her score in different ways.
Schaffmaster 9 kills on 18 swings, along with 3 errors. That's a hitting percentage of .333. We saw the ace as well and a pair of digs. All over the place for Schaffmaster, who was preseason All-ACC this year after finishing on the All-ACC first team a year ago, and was also an AVCA East Coast All-Region player last year. She will serve here once again. Thurman into the chest of Glock. And Romani Thurman, the freshman, has now 3 kills on the day.
There was quite a celebration after that one. The R1 told them, like, just deep breath, calm it down just a little bit.
Some nervous cheers from the crowd here, trying to help their team forward, but it's North Carolina that will take another step forward here and a step into the lead via the block.
And what a better time for someone else to step up for the Tar Heels than behind Mavry Schaffmaster's serve. That's exactly what they need. Keep Schaffmaster at the line by other people performing.
There's a joust. Glock able to win it, and that's an important point for Louisville. And one built from physicality and desire from Ellie Glock, just winning an individual battle there.
She was the last one to hold and press on that ball. Fantastic job in discipline and technical excellence from the setter.
Briggy Petrenko also celebrating her senior day here, comes in. And she sets it for DeBeer. Nearly blocked by Nolan, but Louisville able to scramble and recover. That one was off of, no, it was not. It's a point to Louisville. An attack error from Sophie Hampton. I thought initially it looked like it hit some fingertips. And Coach Shaw off the bench quickly, but now heads back. No thoughts of a challenge.
Look for Barrett to go to Thurman here. Thurman wanted that last ball in transition. No option there.
Carolina's just got to get it over. Here's a real chance for Louisville to add to their 1-point lead. And they do through the freshman, Reese Robbins, into the match. And a kill.
And that's the double sub that Louisville's been using pretty consistently in this last third of the season, with Briggy Petrenko serving and Reese Robbins on the right side. Just another added offensive weapon for the Louisville Cardinals.
First kill in 6 games for Robbins. Had 7 kills against Virginia Tech a few weeks ago. Hasn't been able to contribute in that category for a couple of weeks, but does here to put Louisville close to a well-earned first set victory in a very hard-fought first set against North Carolina. But the Tar Heels are going to have a lot to say about it after this timeout concludes.
And I think Louisville here has to be talking about continuing their blocking game, staying disciplined there, but they're kind of getting into the Tar Heels game right now, where the Tar Heels are going outside to Mavry Schaffmaster, and we're starting to see that from the Louisville offense, with most of their attempts coming from DeBeer and Luper, instead of using their middles, using their other attackers, which is the strength of the Louisville offense. You sometimes kind of get into the game where you mimic your opponent or mirror your opponent, and I think both need to refocus a little bit going into the second set.
That might well be what part of the message is in both of these huddles right now. Assistant Coach Dan Meskey there with the message to Camden Schramm. There's C. Robbins. Mansfield, Texas is home for her. Mike Shaw on the other side. Had a stellar career at Penn State years and years ago. Embarking in his first season as a head coach at the collegiate level. And we're back underway with a Petrenko serve. Out of the timeout, it's Nolan. Right down the middle.
I had the timeouts backwards. The Tar Heels were going to their middle right away out of the timeout.
And two high school teammates on the other end, either end of that ball. You see here Nolan, I should say, from Florence, Kentucky. Notre Dame Academy, they were the reigning state champs in Kentucky. And Camden Schramm for Louisville, who couldn't quite handle the ball defensively, was her teammate on that state title team. Big hit there from Thurman, but it's out of play. And a point to Louisville.
It's a great swing just outside the block and out of bounds.
Louisville's setter Glock serves here with the Cardinals 2 points away. And that is the margin right now in the face of North Carolina. And the Heels go to Schaffmaster once again. And she smashes that ball for her 10th kill already to cut the lead to 1.
She hits the ball with so much pace, but not just pace. She also does a great job of side spin and some different things that make that ball really hard to execute the dig, even if you're in the right place and get the contact.
And Anna DeBeer with a similar result on that swing. A powerful one. Off the defender and into the seats for the kill, and Louisville a point away. Second kill of the afternoon for DeBeer, and she will serve. And it's the block. Not quite. I thought it was in. It was not. Some of the fans did as well.
The ball went
Carolina
down
cuts
fast,
it to 1, yeah.
but it was just out of bounds.
So it results, in fact, in a point off hands for North Carolina. And on we go. Very close opening set in this ACC tilt. It is Louisville's set, though. They finish it off with Charitie Luper. And the Cardinals...
I do think that's what got the Cardinals through set 1.
I think that's a good way to put it as well. They got through set 1. Hard to say that one team lost it the way it was played. So close. And unlike the first set, Louisville has the opening point here in set 2 on an attack error from North Carolina. See, Scott had a bunch of digs against Florida State earlier this year. Had 10 digs on Friday against Duke. And has already got 8 so far today. Couldn't find her 9th there, however. And Carolina has tied the set.
Great swing from Miggins. That ball ended up being a little bit off the net on the set from Babick, but she was able to go high hands as she was falling away.
Scott just a little bit shaken up out of your picture. Took a moment to get off the floor, but she'll stay in and continue. And it's a point to Louisville from a service error. 2 of them in the first set for Carolina. That's their first of the second. So Iko Jones back to serve for Louisville. Coming into today, Jones has 6 kills from 200 on the season. Would be the 4th time in her Louisville career that she's been able to tally that kind of number. Anna DeBeer has tallied that kind of number several times, but she can't add to that tally here with the attack error.
She's gone hard on the back row attacks today. Some great approaches, some great power. Just hasn't been able to find the court on the last couple.
third attack error so far for De Beer.
And if I'm not mistaken, they've all been out of the back row, I believe.
Little mistake there from Luper. Continues to have the hot hand for the Cardinals. 14 times that Charitie Luper has had 10 or more kills, including 4 consecutive games.
And again, we've just watched her mature as a hitter. That was just a high, deep ball over the block, not the Luper power, flashy shot that we know that she loves, but the shot that scores a point for the team.
And there was a very difficult serve to handle for North Carolina, but they are able to do it. Louisville goes to Cressy, and it just skips off the hands of Babick for the point. Cross-court shot on the slide from Cressy.
Cressy was a little behind this ball, but was able to hit that deep, flat shot that's tough to dig.
Kara Cressy, one of the most efficient players in the country, and obviously the ACC, hitting .500 so far. Service error gives the point back to North Carolina. There's a look at the freshman from Wisconsin, Zoe Barrett. Had 23 assists and 9 digs against Wake Forest on Friday. It's been a couple of different systems over the course of the season for North Carolina, Steph, but they've settled on a 6-2 in recent weeks.
And I think it's really been working for them. I think it shows their strengths defensively. It gives them multiple 4 options on offense all of the time, and both setters are playing well.
Barrett, one of those North Carolina setters. You saw the kill from Schaffmaster once again, number 11, as she continues to pile them up. Louisville goes to De Beer, dug out by May. And then Schaffmaster. There's a dig from Scott. It's Luper. Barrett with the dig. And just not able to get it over North Carolina. Thurman trying to hit it over her head from a very acute angle. Couldn't quite make it happen.
Great hustle there from May and Barrett during that play, though. And Thurman wanted to keep that one in play for her teammates, just wasn't able to execute the angle.
Here's Petrenko. Barrett to Nolan. And that one was right on the line, just past the outstretched arm of Petrenko. And Sydney Nolan, again playing in her home state, off to a decent start with 4 kills now.
I mentioned it once earlier, but Hampton, freshman serve receive in this game has been phenomenal. Put that ball right on the setter's head with the ability to run middle.
There's one of the results of that wicked serve from Schaffmaster, and it ultimately finishes with a Sophie Hampton point. Louisville just unable to quite control it. Ball went right back to North Carolina, and they set it to Hampton.
Hampton's going to be fun to watch as she matures into a volleyball player with her ball control, and we just watched her fly on that last outside attack.
And if the serves from Schaffmaster don't result in Louisville being on the back foot, they might also result in aces. That is her second of the day, and the Tar Heels, led by Schaffmaster, have a 2-point lead here in the second set. That one's off hands from De Beer to score for Louisville.
Quality shot there from De Beer, able to find the elbow of Thurman on the outside.
De Beer has been busy, 15 swings, just her 3rd kill. And North Carolina not on the same page there down the middle. A couple of freshmen not connecting, Barrett and Nolan.
And you talked about De Beer lacking some kills on the stat sheet. I think a big credit of that is to Maddie May. We have not talked enough about her defense on the Tar Heels back line.
There's the block for Louisville showing up again. This time PK.
We see Thurman trying to go across and PK pressing her inside hand back down to the floor.
North Carolina, the second most blocked team in the ACC. And that statistic showing up here today so far in favor of Louisville.
It's interesting, though, because they're still very efficient. And we see actually on this play right here that they swing, and they swing hard, and they swing to score on points. And sometimes that means the ball trickles through the block and scores, like we just saw. And sometimes that means you get blocked, and sometimes those are highlight blocks against you because you're swinging hard and swinging for the kill.
DeBeer swings hard, and this time it's the Carolina block that gets the job done. Similar plays on either side in back-to-back points.
But no hitter likes to be blocked like that. But there are different ways to achieve efficiency. You can avoid the block and keep the ball in bounds, do that, or you can just go for it, and sometimes you're going to have errors, but those other times you're going to have kills. And that's the difference in deciding how you get to that efficient hitting.
PK with a little hook over the head. To score for Louisville here. PK with 3 kills on the afternoon. That matches her total from Friday against Duke. Schaffmaster just continues to smother the ball at every opportunity. Mabry Schaffmaster 12 for 25, along with 5 digs and 2 aces. Building up quite the line already.
Especially middle of the second set. That's quite a stat line for halfway through the match.
She wants to add to it here. Took a lot off that ball. Sets up a chance for Louisville. They go to Luper. Here's another opportunity for U of L. This time Jones, and Jones scores off hands. First kill of the afternoon for Jones. Ball was not touched. Attack error there from Hampton.
And that's not Hampton's strength right now as a freshman. I think we'll see her get there, but avoiding the block and picking her shots is not her strength right now. I think she needs to continue to go with her power.
You see there in this set, been incredibly close, just like it was in the first set. But the first set we had some runs, not quite as many runs in this second set. It's really been punch for punch. And another punch landed here by the Tar Heels. Sophie Hampton had 12 kills against Louisville in early October. And she can't get the job done defensively here. It's a kill for Cressy.
That's a good shot from Cressy. We've seen a lot of big digs in this game, super powerful. Sometimes it's more about location, and that's what Cressy offers, is the ability to have power and or location when needed.
Another situation where North Carolina just wasn't on the same page. And Louisville takes advantage of it. Back-to-back kills for Kara Cressy. Ball was set up to Sadie Swift. Carolina just had to get it over, and then Cressy finished it off. And again, exceedingly efficient as ever for Cressy this afternoon.
Another fantastic pass from Hampton.
Glock calling her own number, but Maid hit it defensively. The set from Scott to Luper. And there lies some of the value of Elena Scott. A terrific defensive player, obviously, just racks up the dig totals. But when Louisville needs her to make a pass, she's able to do it.
And it's one of those things that's disheartening to the other side, too, because you work hard, you take the setter out, things happen, and then you still have Elena Scott running the offense.
And in a set, as I was saying just a moment ago, where there have not been very many runs, it's Louisville who ends this first period of the set on a 4-0 run as we take a timeout. Big lead in the first set and then let it slip out of their grasp. This one, they were neck and neck for a long time with the Louisville Cardinals, but heading into that 15-point timeout, Louisville on a 4-0 run, looking to take control of not only the set, but potentially the match. We did see North Carolina reverse sweep Wake Forest in their last victory, but doing that against Louisville would be a much different feat to achieve. So these next 10 points or so, very important for the Tar Heels if they want to pull off this mega upset tonight. And if they're going to do it, they're going to have to turn to number 9 over and over and over again, which they have done. Mabry Schaffmaster, kill number 13 for her already. Player averaging 3.5 kills per set over the course of her career. Well above that average right now today. A set and a half in. And she adds to it. Why not continue to feed the hot hand? I mean, nothing else really is working right now for North Carolina.
Exactly. I think they're doing a good job of moving the ball around a little bit, but maybe what didn't play out so well in the first set was starting to move the ball around too much when they're just not stopping Schaffmaster.
Charitie Luper trying to equal Schaffmaster, not quite up to her kill total, but very efficient. That's her 8th, hitting .471. She's leading Louisville thus far. For Louisville, it's been Luper and blocks. And for North Carolina, it's been the Schaffmaster show. An overpass, and Cressy is all over it.
Babbitt caught this ball in the face off of Cressy's swing while she was jump setting.
And Babbitt walking off delicately. That one is going to be painful.
It looks like she got hit in the eye. Might have. No, it doesn't look like they're looking for a contact. I thought maybe that would be the situation, but interesting play here because North Carolina is running a 6-2. So now they have two options, a different setter coming in for Babbitt or make that double sub and go to Barrett back in setting out of the front row and kind of switch their dynamic. It's a little bit tough mid-set to figure that out, but obviously the hope would be that Babbitt can return.
Right, the hope is that as they take this time out, North Carolina, that maybe she just needed this long moment as we get a look at it. Yeah, direct, point-blank range, right into really the right temple, it looked like.
And kind of unexpected. She went up with one hand, I think expecting to set the ball, and then it was a little bit further than she thought, and it came back really fast.
She continues to collect herself on the North Carolina bench. No need to collect yourself in the stands. Come full of energy right off the bat, like those kids have.
Popcorn.
There you get a look at Babbitt once again, just continuing to try and regain her composure. Easier said than done. Very easy for me to say that from where I'm sitting. But this Louisville crowd never fails to pack the house here at L&N Federal Credit Union Arena. In fact, they've not failed to pack the house no matter where they've played this year, whether it's here or downtown at the KFC Yum Center, where they've put in crowds of 10,000 plus a couple of times this year. And an opportunity today on Senior Day, Steph, for them to come out and salute a highly successful group for this Louisville volleyball program.
Definitely. And what we're going to see here for the Tar Heels is we are going to see them redo the sub and keep their consistent lineup. However, it's going to be Barron in setting out of the front row. And then Thurman is going to pretend sub here as we see ghost sub in for Babic, and she'll be out of the back row. And I think part of this decision is because you'll see they're only one rotation from going back to Thurman in the front row and Barrett being the server. So they really want to side out here.
Schaffmaster, and it's a block for Louisville. One of the few times that Schaffmaster has been denied, but Kara Cressy continues to have a terrific afternoon.
And I think a little bit tough here. There's no right side attack now for North Carolina, so Cressy is able to cheat towards Schaffmaster out on that left pin.
Luper with a line drive into the net to end Louisville's run. It was at 3-0.
North Carolina back in a normal rotation for them now.
Cressy continues. Seven blocks for Cressy, along with 7 kills, hitting .636.
And the fun thing for Cressy is to see her confidence build throughout a match. She gets a couple of those blocks, and that always leads her defense, buys her offense. I think that's usually a basketball thing where if you play good defense, it turns into offense. But that's definitely a Kara Cressy thing.
Overpass to Reese Robbins. 2 kills for her now. And Louisville is taking control in this second set against North Carolina. And the Tar Heels are going to take a timeout. Mike Shaw seeing this set start to slip from his team. They were right there neck and neck early on. And Louisville laying a hurting on North Carolina right now. It's an important time of the year across the college volleyball world, and an important weekend as well. We talked about on Friday that top 10 matchup in the ACC, which was won by Pitt in a sweep, somewhat surprisingly from my perspective.
Agreed.
As we see, and then obviously the big headline nationwide is Penn State beating Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I think this only gets more fun over the next 2 weeks leading up to the selection show. We know that Louisville still has Pitt and Georgia Tech on their schedule. Wisconsin still has Nebraska on their schedule to kind of avenge that loss last night to Penn State if you can knock off the #1 team in the nation and in your conference. And so there's just some good volleyball to be played. A conference that's not represented on here is the SEC. Still has a lot of play at the top of their conference with Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. So there's a lot of fun matchups for volleyball fans up until the selection show in 2 weeks.
Just briefly, though, on that Penn State victory over Wisconsin, what was a big takeaway for you? I mean, Wisconsin and Nebraska have been the top 2 in the country, not just the Big Ten, but in the country all year long. And a bit surprising to see the Badgers take a loss.
And it'll be interesting. Penn State played really, really well, and they have a new team this year. A lot of people transferring, a lot of different faces, and so it took them a little while to gel. We saw them get beat 3-0 by Louisville earlier in the year, but Wisconsin played that match last night without Schmeck. It's kind of unknown as why, and so will she come back and be able to contribute for the rest of the season will be the big difference for the Wisconsin team.
Talked a lot about Schaffmaster today, but Sydney Nolan putting together a really strong day as well. She adds to it there with her 5th kill. Cuts the Louisville lead to 5.
And that's the second time the Tar Heels have come out of a timeout and run middle right away.
Gives Schaffmaster the opportunity to serve here. Louisville goes to De Beer, but it's going to be a point to North Carolina for a double contact.
You see Danny Busboom-Kelly not so excited about that double contact, but one thing I like is the R1 is staying very consistent. We saw the possibly controversial double contact earlier, and this was the same situation, just off balance and not a great touch.
If you're going to make the call once, make it twice. And you're going to draw the ire of both head coaches when you do that.
Make everybody mad.
That's right.
See what happens.
Service error here from Schaffmaster.
I tell you what it did draw was a lot of crowd noise during Schaffmaster's serve.
The lead is 5, and Louisville 4 away from a 2-set lead. Thurman had the swing. Jones right through about 2 or 3 North Carolina defenders.
And great swing from Jones. We haven't called her name a lot tonight, but she has really stepped up and been very consistent over the month of October and going into November for Louisville.
3 of the last 5 games for Aiko Jones. She's had 10 or more kills. As you said, hasn't been that busy so far today, but she's involved in this one. Setting it up for PK. North Carolina just hasn't quite had the runs that Louisville has had in this set. 3-0 run for the Cardinals right now. It's DeBeer, and she's able to do it off hands and brings the crowd to their feet. Louisville looking to take a 2-set advantage, extending this winning streak against North Carolina that dates back to 2017. Schaffmaster out of the back row, right to Scott. Louisville goes to Jones, and Aiko finishes off the second set. Off the block.
Back to back.
So what does the third set have in store? Can Carolina take a set off of Louisville for the second time this year and extend this match? Not so fast on that thought, says Louisville. PK with another block. PK's second out of those 9 for Louisville, and it's back-to-back for PK. Back-to-back points, this time with the kill on the overpass.
One thing to note is North Carolina is starting with Barrett in 1 in the back row, and so we're not sure if we will see Babick return to this set or not.
Yeah, remember Babick took a ball right off the temple and was quite shaken up, went to the bench. Point here for North Carolina, however. And so Sophie Hampton will head behind the service line. Louisville trying to set it up for PK once again. Handled well defensively by Carolina. Out of the back row, DeBeer, and she's denied. Swift was up for the block, and she gets credit.
And that might be the one place where Anna DeBeer has struggled tonight, and that's on back row attacking.
Sadie Swift with a block in every single game, save 1 this year. There's the changeup from Aiko Jones. Just continues to display different varieties of shots this season. Doesn't go for power all that often, really, and took a lot off that one to great success.
And she's one of those fun players to watch because she doesn't care how it happens, but she just wants that success for her team.
She's becoming a crafty veteran, I think you could say. That would be the sports cliche.
Title, yeah.
Miggins with the point for Carolina to tie it back up at 3. And Maddie May, the libero, will head behind the service line. She's having a strong day. May with 8 digs. Cressy just annihilates that ball right down the middle. Seems like every time Kara Cressy swings, she scores. Not quite, but that's not that far off with that .667 hitting percentage.
And these last couple matches in ACC play are going to be really important for Kara Cressy. If she goes into the NCAA tournament with this amount of confidence, she is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
It's an Aiko ace. Third ace of the day for Louisville. And the second of the day for Aiko Jones. Looking to make it 3 right here. Not quite. Schaffmaster just continues to do it.
Elena Scott with the gymnastics move in the back row, trying to get that ball off the deflection.
Schaffmaster, the only player with 10 or more kills so far. A couple of Louisville players on the doorstep of that cutoff. Point to Louisville on the service error. Here's Luper. An awkward one for Carolina. Schaffmaster just has to send it over. Louisville, though, a little out of sorts on their end as well. Led De Beer flying into the net, just trying to keep it alive. And it's a point to Carolina.
That was an ugly rally altogether, but a great finish here on the block. De Beer was trying to go off the block, but she was sucked inside, and the Tar Heel defense was able to keep it down.
De Beer trying to atone for that one, and she does. Into the back corner from Anna De Beer.
And great job from Louisville there, finding a quality swing on a not-so-great serve receive to break the Schaffmaster serve on the first ball.
Anna De Beer with fewer than 10 kills in 4 of her last 6 games. She's halfway to that total today with 5. But still an invaluable piece of this Louisville team, even when she's not leading the way in the kill category. There's Schaffmaster out of the back row, putting on the full array of skill and shooting ability.
She has such a good contact on the ball every time she touches the ball, and it's why she's such a good jump server, because every time she touches the ball, she touches it with her whole hand, and that just enables her to locate that ball in ways that other hitters can't.
And an ace. Nolan with the ace. Just the 19th of her season. There's De Beer trying to heat up here in the third set. So far, the story for Carolina has been Schaffmaster and Nolan. And for Louisville, it's Luper and Cressy, but De Beer starting to get into the conversation offensively. Flying was Glock there, just able to get it over and keep it in play. Well done by Scott. De Beer. Oh! Able to score. Not a swing that maybe she even expected to score on, but it's another kill for De Beer.
That crafty ball from De Beer on another inside set. She just pops that ball back off system with the side spin to the line. We'll also note that Babic is not in for the Tar Heels, and Miggins is taking setting duties for her half of the 6-2.
Good defensive work by Louisville all around. Luper with the dig. Likewise for Carolina with Hampton. And then that one, May just had to put it over, and Iko Jones read it the entire way. Telegraphed, and Jones terminated the ball.
Great job here from Jones to stay disciplined, waited to jump, and was able to throw that ball right back down to the middle.
A couple of players going for the ball for Carolina, so they've just got to try and play it over. Thurman there with the swing and didn't get enough height on the ball. And Carolina once again, almost like the second set, starting to see this one favorite. And it does the job. Really raised the energy level in this one, as Louisville trying to take off right now against this North Carolina team that has been very game today, but so far second best. And out of the timeout, they go to the player that has led them throughout the day, Schaffmaster. And for her, a rare attack error results in another Louisville point to extend the run to 5. Just the 5th attack error by Schaffmaster on 36 swings. A very busy afternoon.
And we'll notice Glock's short serve here, too. She's done a great job of taking hitters out of the options for the Tar Heel offense, which then limits you to one hitter and sets up your block for success.
And in this case, it was Anna DeBeer. 22 blocks coming into today for DeBeer. And that's her first of the afternoon, so make it 23 on the season. And for Louisville, 11 blocks. That has been one of the biggest headlines of the afternoon. This time, DeBeer with the swing. And Hampton, the freshman who has tremendous ability and a bright future in Carolina blue, scores once again.
You're exactly right. She's going to be fun to watch as she matures for the Tar Heels. Her serve receive has been fantastic, and so have her timely kills.
A high school All-American, Sophie Hampton. There's PK. Off hands on the cross-court action. And we're going to have another brief pause as Aiden Bartlett comes into the game. One of the seniors getting a big hand on this senior day as you get a look at the PK kill. Her 6th on just 9 swings. A terribly efficient middle for Louisville so far today between her and Kara Cressy. And a double contact violation, another one. We've seen a few today called against North Carolina.
That one was not controversial as the other two.
Cardinals trying to take flight and win this game, flying away to continue the analogy. Here's Luper. Will it stay in play? It just might, and Hampton gets it over. Fabulous stuff, fabulous effort from North Carolina. But Aiko Jones says it doesn't matter.
Jones wanted to finish that ball for her fellow senior Bartlett, who was able to pass the free ball. Glock was just the middleman between the two seniors. Fantastic dig here from Maddie May, though, and fantastic hustle play from the Tar Heels. The bad thing about hustle plays is they lead to free balls for the other team, and the Cardinals were able to execute.
And it was Schaffmaster, actually, that had the biggest hustle play before Hampton hit it over. Somebody lost a shoe for Louisville. It's PK, but on we go. And now the referee's going to blow the whistle because of the lack of footwear, and everybody has a laugh about it. And they're going to replay the point.
The line judge, rightfully so, waved and stopped the point because you don't want to play with an obstacle on the court, which in this case was a shoe.
Aiko Jones had kind of swept it away to get it out of danger, but I think some alert officiating. Just a little, I think Aiko actually stepped on the heel there of PK.
Aiko chucked that ball
right
to DBK.
Oh, what a
she
catch!
Caught it.
What a catch by Danny Busboom Kelly.
Stinky shoes aren't
Yeah.
what you're used to catching on the bench. It's a better replay than we expected.
Well, now we know where Louisville gets their quick reactions from.
Yes. Former libero,
That's
former
right.
setter.
That is exactly right. Not quite quick enough to react there was Elena Scott on a ball driven right at her by Sophie Hampton.
Awesome flashes of brilliance for Sophie Hampton. I think we see a big future for her. And those are the things you're looking for down the stretch at this point for the Tar Heels is how do they finish this season? What do they get out of it? Are they able to pick up one of these big upsets? How do they come to play in the Duke game that's really high emotions? Those are the things Coach Shaw is looking for down the stretch to finish this ACC season.
As he tries to build this North Carolina program, a 6-9 ACC record, even with a victory today, it feels unlikely that they would sneak in to the back door of the NCAA tournament. But as Mike Shaw tries to imprint his own style on this North Carolina program that, again, is undergoing a coaching change for the first time in over 3 decades, as Joe Segula had led this team since 1990 before retiring in February. We're going to have our first challenge of the day here. Comes from Coach Shaw and North Carolina. And it comes at a vital time for his team as they are really up against it right now, with Louisville in front by 9 as it stands. So the call is that it was not touched by Charitie Luper or Aiden Bartlett for that matter behind her. And so this becomes a question of the pinky.
Yeah, I think clearly the ball landed out. That's always the easy part to look at first, just to make sure. And then I think this was our best view that we don't seem to see. Sometimes you can see that pinky stretch back, and it looks like it still contains forward momentum, maintains
you would
forward
think in
momentum.
This frame, it would have been bent backwards if it had been contacted by the ball. And a relatively quick review, and the call does stand. Not quite confirmed, but it stands based on the evidence that we just saw. But to the point you were making about North Carolina and their head coach, Mike Shaw, a season that hasn't exactly gone their way. If this finishes the way it's looking like it will, they'll dip below 500 on the year. An ace for Elena Scott. But it's little moments from players like Hampton that Coach Shaw is looking for today.
Yep, and that's what gives you the momentum going into spring season and going into next season and keeps you fighting through these games. They can be a spoiler and end the season. They can be a spoiler for Florida State coming up. They can definitely be a spoiler for the rivalry game from Duke coming up. And I think you have to see how your team responds to those moments, and that says a lot about them as individuals and as a team going forward.
Yeah, two teams that Florida State especially, despite the RPI at 30, I think has probably booked their trip to the NCAA tournament given what they've been able to do in the conference. Still has that big opportunity to maybe surprisingly win the ACC title, Florida State. But to your point, North Carolina with a big opportunity to play spoiler. That was the object for them today. Easier said than done against number 5 Louisville. But I think a more doable achievement to maybe upend one of Florida State or Duke over the next couple of weeks.
And as a team, and especially for Coach Shaw taking over this program, you're always trying to build a team for a season and build that team. And especially now with the transfer portal, there's some different dynamics there. But you're also trying to build a program. And that picking up those rivalry games, how you're finishing towards the end of the season and getting better from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, that's what you want to look for in building a program, not just a team for a season.
And you saw Louisville briefly there, their upcoming schedule. You want to talk about some tests, final exams at the end of a semester? How about that? 2 top 10 teams yet to come on the schedule. Pitt and Georgia Tech. On the road at Pitt, here at home against the Yellow Jackets.
But we referenced Wisconsin's loss yesterday. Stanford's had a loss. Texas has had a loss. Louisville had the loss at Georgia Tech. And they kind of control their own destiny right now. They're the only team that gets to play 2 top 10 matches left to see how they fare for themselves going into the final selection show seedings.
Right, point for Louisville. They control their own destiny if they are hoping to secure hosting rights for both the first and second rounds, which they are likely to have. Which, if that would happen, by the way, that's going to be at the KFC Yum Center downtown. But not just for those first and second rounds, but also for the regional. And those 2 games against Georgia Tech and Pitt would be humongous resume-building wins at the back end of the schedule for Louisville over the next couple of weeks. And to point out, there's a little bit more added time to prepare for those games as well, because it's not a 2-game weekend coming up.
Exactly. We talked about how the ACC kind of has a unique finish to their schedule with a 1-game weekend and a 1 in-week game to finish it off leading into Selection Sunday.
Points to Louisville once again through Aiko Jones. We mentioned coming into the broadcast that Friday's victory was a team effort for Louisville. If this one does go down as a victory, it's going to be another team effort. 5 players with 5 or more kills, and yet no players in double figures in terms of kills for Louisville. So a little bit of everyone And not to mention the blocks. 12 of them for the Cardinals. That'll get the fans out of their seats. An exclamation point late on from Charitie Luper.
Luper gave the credit back to CC Rush. It was CC Rush's serve that led to the overpass for Luper with the phenomenal finish.
A slam from Luper with the right hand. And things starting to unravel for North Carolina. Another double contact violation, and the Cardinals are 2 points away from yet another sweep. And after the Tar Heels were very competitive in the first 2 sets, Louisville has laid down the law, in large part due to the blocking game led by that woman, Kara Cressy.
And a fantastic team effort here from the Cardinals to do the little things to keep senior CC Rush on the service line to finish this match.
On senior day, no less. Can they finish it off? Not quite yet. Rush with a touch. It'll go to Luper, and that'll do it. The bench storms the court, and Denny Busboom Kelly's squad has swept North Carolina. They improved in each set.